Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Kelly.
Happy Monday to you all. It is yet another semi-rainy Monday evening in Tullahoma, Tennessee. We are live at London's, downtown Tullahoma, the corner of the alley and Lincoln Street. Along with Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Trenton got to work out that opening for us. He plays the middle of the show for the opening and the opening in the middle of the show, but we get all that worked out. Ken,
That's
welcome
right.
back to the set, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Scoot on over here so you can get in the camera. How
All
about
right.
that? We want your mug in the camera.
Mug shot.
Yeah. Did you have a good time in Knoxville last week?
I had some good work time in Knoxville last week.
We
and
tried to get you to have a blood transfusion while you were there, but I understand that didn't happen.
Well, I know it's an electric atmosphere down there right now with that basketball team, no doubt about it. I was in Kentucky this morning working today, so
Pretty electric up there on basketball season too.
I'm going to be quite a game February 16th.
Should
between
be.
the Vols and Wildcats, no doubt about it. Could be 1 and 2 at that time.
Should be a good battle.
1 versus 2.
Yeah, could be.
Could be.
Potentially. Could be 7 versus 8 too. You just never know.
Yeah, I caught you guys on the radio coming in last Monday night. Y'all did a great job.
Well, thank you. Smash, as he
filled in
said,
admirably.
As he said, Smash can make anybody look good. I told him I appreciated him making me look good because he's the first one that ever made me look good.
There you go.
So what's going on this week? You know, they played a game yesterday, and William Belichick and Thomas Brady continued to make their case for being the greatest of all time at what they do. How many Super Bowls does Brady win with Andy Reid as his head coach?
Oh, man, that's a great question.
You know,
Not six.
How many Super Bowls does Bill Belichick win with Smith? His first name's totally
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith is his quarterback.
Even fewer than the first question you asked, I think.
So who gets more credit? Who should get more credit? Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? Or Robert Kraft, for that matter?
That's a loaded question there,
isn't
man. That's a good one. That's a good way to start the show tonight. It is. But I'm all about team. You win as a team, you lose as a team. So I give equal credit to both of them, actually. Although, to answer your questions, I think that Brady wins more without Belichick than Belichick does without Brady. That would be my answer to you.
You know, that defense, which is Belichick's specialty, was pretty doggone good last night. Brady and his offense, not so much.
True. Okay, that's a little counterpunch right there. You're right there.
Well, I think last night.
Yeah.
I think Belichick wins that one without Brady. I'm not sure Brady wins it without Belichick.
I think you're right. I'll agree with you on that one. And, the Rams only 2 first downs in the first half, the lowest scoring Super Bowl in the history. Super Bowl 53. And, so Super Bowl 53, a little ironic, Maroon 5, Rams 3. Did you see that tweet today?
Good.
I like that one.
That's good.
Maroon 5, Rams 3. But 3 points, man. Come on. If I heard you go over last week, and I would have picked over.
Bad move.
But 13-3. If you would have told me before the game, you and Smash would have said the Patriots are only going to score 13 points, I'd have took some of that action.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And said the Rams are going to win that game.
Yeah. If the Patriots score 13, I'm taking the Rams all day.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So many have said today that it was the most boring, worst Super Bowl they've ever seen. Now, they probably don't remember some of those games in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Super Bowls were blowouts every year.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
Some were good, but for the most part, they were terrible. It was only the last 5 years or so that we've started getting, and it sort of started I think when the Giants upset the undefeated Patriots a few years ago with David Tyree's catch on his head, since then, for the most part, we've had really good, exciting Super Bowls. I did not find anything boring about last night's game. It was great defense.
Mm-hmm.
I like great defense.
Well, when we're calling high school football games, we comment all the time. We love these great defensive games, although you don't see them very often now in high school because the sports change, especially in the NFL. But you know what was missing last night? The roughing the passer penalties, because, man, Jared Goff just got beat to an absolute pulp. In the regular season, I would have seen 8 flags thrown in that game for just hard hits on the quarterback. And pass interference calls. I mean, both secondaries played great last night. And normally, if you touch somebody down the field, here comes the flag. And it's point of contact foul in the NFL on pass interference. So is that what the NFL is without penalties? I don't know. You know, and you looking back at the game, hindsight's 50-50. Would the fans have wanted the Saints and the Chiefs another, 53-50 game, something like that? But, I love defensive battles, and I'll take you back even farther. You talked about the 90s and 80s, so I try to think, what game to me, what Super Bowl compared to this one? It was 1974 season. They played it in 75 because it's in January. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl IX. I watched that game. I remember that game. It was Fran Tarkenton against Mean Joe Green and the Steel Curtain, the first Super Bowl that the Steelers won. I was for Minnesota in that game. I think Minnesota had like 4 turnovers. Tarkenton did. I was discouraged. That game was 2-0 at halftime. This one was 3-0 at halftime. But that was a great football game between two great defense. Purple People Eaters from Minnesota, their front four against the Steel Curtain. Now, I don't think either one of these defenses were as good as either one of those defenses back in the 70s, but Tom Brady was on the field yesterday, and he was the difference. Look, Jared Goff, he looked like a deer in headlights. He was spooked out. He was scared to death. And you get Todd Gurley. What kind of game plan you come in with to give the guy 10 touches?
It seems obvious as we've gone through the postseason that Todd Gurley's hurt.
Something's wrong.
He just hadn't been the same player.
Yeah, it looked like some body language to me. I'm not going to question the guy's heart because I don't know how bad he was hurt, but I saw a pass go over his head that he just kind of, alligator armed it. Didn't really put an effort up to get it, and just the body language just did not look good to me last night for Todd Gurley. Really, Sony Michel looked a lot better running the ball than Gurley did last night, the other Georgia running back in the game.
How outstanding was the MVP, Julian Edelman? Does he not give hope to every, 5'10", 5'11", 180-pound kid who wants to play football? I mean, work on your quickness, work on your route running, work on catching the football. You can play football when you're smaller because, man, that dude, like they kept saying last night, he just knows how to get open. He just wanders out there and says, okay, if you're going to stand there, I'm going to turn around this way and I'm going to be open. And Brady just watching him and waiting.
It's almost like those tackle football games we used to play up here at West Middle School. We didn't draw up plays. We said, go get open. And the guy finds a way to get open, but his physical and mental toughness, I mean, the guy gets ear-holed, he gets hammered, he gets up again, up and up again. And, I thought about that on the way over here, on the way home from work today. I said, who could I compare this guy to? And I think of a guy that played baseball back 20, 25 years ago, Lenny Dykstra of the Philadelphia Phillies. You remember him? Played center field for the Philadelphia Phillies. They called him Nails because he was so tough. The guy dove after every ball. He slid every play and just played the game the way the game should be played. And to me, that personifies Julian Edelman.
I think that's a really good comparison because I believe late in Lenny Dykstra's career, he got suspended for using PEDs. And Julian Edelman spent the first 4 games this year suspended for using PEDs.
Oh, that's a zinger. I didn't make that connection, but that's good right there, Scott.
Yeah, so
that's good. Yeah,
Edelman, should he have even been playing? I mean, he's a convicted PED user.
Yeah.
No wonder he bounces right back up.
Well, and I got, look, the Steelers, the Patriots caught the Steelers. They both got 6 Super Bowls now, and I've got a buddy that I talked to on the way over here that said, the Steelers were in the steroid era of the 70s, and that's why they won 4 Super Bowls. So, I mean, I don't know. You hate for that part to come into the game and factor it all when you talk about great teams and dynasties and runs. But I think you said it really good last week. Whether you hate the Patriots and you have Patriot fatigue and you don't like Brady and Belichick, you've got to appreciate what they've done. And, Brady didn't have a really good game, 60%, under 300 yards, 0 touchdowns.
Started out just terrible.
Yeah, who would have thought both quarterbacks in that game, 0 touchdown passes? I mean, I'm sure that was a thing that you could bet in Las Vegas, is who would throw the first touchdown, who would catch the first touchdown, how many would each quarterback throw. But, man, who would have thought before this game, with these 2 prolific offenses, no touchdown passes by those 2 quarterbacks? I don't think Brady cares. If he would throw for 10 yards, he got number 6, and that's all he cares about.
His legacy is set in stone. He doesn't have to do anything else. Yeah. Everything is just icing on the cake now for him. But, as the game wore on and it was 3-0, and then it was 3-3, and the announcers, I guess it was Nance and Romo.
Yeah.
Went on and on about how, it seems like the Rams ought to be down by 20 points or, it's still 3-3. It's anybody's games. Romo kept saying, we're 1 turnover away from the Rams leading or this or that. And every time they would say that, I would think, no, because Tom Brady's going to lead the team down the field for a touchdown in the 4th quarter. That's a given. Yeah. That is going to happen. It's going to happen. The Rams better score or they're going to lose. And, that ended up being the case.
Yeah, and they had a couple good opportunities. Jared Goff threw the ball down the field to Brandon Cooks. He had his hands on the ball in the end zone a couple plays and couldn't hold on to it. He had a really good game, I think 8 catches for 120 yards. Cooks did, but just not enough weapons really for the Rams. And if you look at the Patriots, they had Sony Michel, they had Gronk had a big game, I think 8 catches, and then of course Edelman with the MVP honors, and just more ways to distribute the football. That being said, I thought it was a huge mismatch between the 2 quarterbacks. One's clutch. One guy was just scared to death to even be out there and couldn't make the normal simple throws. And he just seemed like he was late delivering the football the entire game. And just didn't work out well for the Rams.
One's the GOAT and one saw a ghost.
Yeah.
Who could have been the MVP? A young man who grew up right down the road in Lewisburg, Tennessee, played for Marshall County High School and the University of Alabama. That's Dante Hightower. He had a fantastic game.
He sure did. He had a heck of a game. And I thought it was funny on my way to Kentucky this morning. Mark Howard said 3 times on the radio on the zone that Dante Hightower was from Tullahoma. So I don't know. Yeah, he said that this morning. I was laughing, and of course I think Lane Bishop finally corrected him and said, "No, I believe it's Lewisburg, Marshall County." But hey, some little props for Tullahoma this morning on the radio. Hey, the best of them make mistakes, huh?
And as a Tennessee fan, it was really fun to see Cordero Patterson get himself a Super Bowl ring, and to see a young man whose games I called multiple times over the years, Shaq Mason from down at Columbia. Man, he was just a terror against the Wildcats, but it was good to see him get another ring. I pull for New England for a couple of reasons. One, I have a daughter who lives in New England, so it's a big deal to her, but it also because they have those 2 players from Middle Tennessee, and I mean, pro football, I have no passion for anybody. I do like to pull for the Titans, but it's easy to pull for the Patriots because they have those Middle Tennessee guys, and
Yeah, it's hard to argue that,
yeah.
and it's amazing when you look at what the Patriots have done. You got to appreciate it. Now tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6 Super Bowl wins. I believe the Cowboys and 49ers both 5 apiece. But there's 12 NFL teams. That's 38% of the teams in the NFL have never won a Super Bowl. And to me, the way they do the draft, the teams that finish worst get the top picks, and it's in reverse order. How did you not have more parity? How did the same teams keep winning the Super Bowls?
I have a theory. and I'll share it when we come back. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, we are live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on the Rooster 101.5.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Builder Supply in Tullahoma is your one-stop for all the building materials you need for your next project. Their paint center has a full line of Benjamin Moore paints to brighten any room. Trust the experts, Bubba, Joe, and the gang at Builder Supply, 301 South Atlantic Street, Tullahoma.
Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs is the place to go when you're hungry for good country cooking. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Friday nights, 4 to 7:30, with Friday night trivia starting at 6:15. Breakfast is served all day, every day at Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs.
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Downtown Tullahoma.
There you go, Thunder. Well done. Well done. Welcome back to London's downtown Tullahoma, 6:15 on this unseasonably warm Monday. How's this for early February, Ken? You gotta love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. We're going to pay for this in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
you know
I think
that,
so.
don't you?
Yes, sir. I think you're right.
Things have a way of evening out. Well, we're going to move on here. We've got National Signing Day is Wednesday. Even though it's not quite what it used to be, it's still a big day. And Ken's all over some SEC recruiting and all that. The Tullahoma Sports Council first inaugural Hall of Fame ceremony is Saturday night. I've got all the nominees here. We'll talk a little bit about that event and the nominees, but just a theory in professional sports.
Yeah, I want to hear
and
that.
just think about this.
Yeah.
Football and NBA basketball. Baseball, not so much, because guys are just moving everywhere. The draft is not that impactful. Football and basketball, though, they use the reverse record theory, right? Mm-hmm. Teams with the worst record draft first, and then you get all the way to teams with the best record. In the NBA, it's a little more jumbled. They have the draft lottery, but those are your 10 worst teams in the lottery, and they're drafting first. Notice the fact that there's less parity than there's maybe ever been, except maybe in the 70s and 80s, right? The Patriots absolutely dominate NFL football. Teams, the same teams are usually, now this year was a little bit of an exception. The Chiefs have built a powerhouse. The Rams have built a powerhouse through the draft a lot. But for the most part, it's the Patriots. And look at the NBA. The Warriors and the Cavaliers played in 3 or 4 straight NBA finals. It's the same teams every year in the playoffs for the most part in the NBA. This parity is not being accomplished by this reverse draft. I'm not suggesting that you pick another way to draft in professional sports. I'm just suggesting that the goal of parity is just not happening in professional sports, not consistently, because the same great teams are winning every year.
Yeah, and you know, to take that a step further, look at the NCAA football. It's the same teams relatively in the college football playoff every year. There's only been, I think, 10 teams in 5 years, so a lot of repeats there too. So I don't know what it is. Is it coaching?
And even look at college basketball. The same teams are number one. Oh, wait a minute. No. They're actually not. The Tennessee Volunteers are number one for the 3rd straight week. So maybe we're becoming a blue blood in basketball?
16 wins in a row. The
School record.
The first undefeated January since 1945. It's phenomenal. They've never been a number 1 seed. They've been a number 2 seed twice, I think. Number 3 seed last year before they got upset in the Sweet 16 by Loyola Chicago. But Tennessee's is going for the number 1 overall seed. So I think there's no doubt they're shoe-in to get one of the 4 number 1 seeds. I think they're going to battle that out with Kentucky. But we talked a while ago, with Duke. Kentucky's charging hard. They're only 1 game behind in conference. Tennessee's 8-0. Kentucky's 7-1. Tennessee 21. Kentucky 18-3. Kentucky's playing really good defense. I think that game, the Tennessee and Kentucky is going to play 2 more times. They're going to play in Rupp Arena on February 16th, and they're going to play in that SEC championship in basketball.
So it was round of 32.
Was it round
last
of 32?
Year, yes.
Okay.
Very disappointing. Okay. Very disappointing for the Tennessee Vols. But Loyola was it was Cinderella.
Yeah,
last year,
Cinderella
right?
Last year,
they
no
were
doubt.
Cinderella,
Yeah.
and Tennessee just happened to go up against them.
And we've got that right around the corner when this cold weather comes. We've got March Madness to
Our anniversary is coming up in a month.
Yeah, March Madness. I mean, that's the best, man. That's a great tournament. It is.
I love opening weekend.
Yes, me too.
Games from Thursday to Sunday from 11 a.m. to about 11 p.m. You got to love it.
Yep.
Clear the schedule.
That's right.
It's call-in sick day.
Bracket busters. And you remember last year's tournament, I think nobody got the bracket right. Nobody that filled one out.
Oh, yeah, because a 16 beat a 1, and it's never happened before.
16 beat a 1.
And nobody was picking that. Virginia better watch out. It was Virginia that got beat as the number 1 seed last year by the 16 seed. Mm-hmm. And this is the same style of Virginia team as they had last year. They're ranked, 4th in the nation, 3rd in the nation right now. And they play this slow, deliberate, old-style game, which old schoolers might like. But, man, when you get in a tournament, you face that 16 seed from that little conference out west or something that's got a bunch of great athletes.
Yeah.
And they run up and down the floor. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Dangerous.
It is. So I guess that's there's a lot of basketball left. You've got the rest of the regular season. See how long the Vols can stay number 1 but you got to be impressed with the way they're just putting teams away. I watched some of that Texas A&M game was flipping back and forth. Tennessee and A&M Saturday night, along with the basketball Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn, and actually the Tennessee A&M game was more exciting. It was closer. A&M hanging in there pretty tough, making some threes, competitive, and then Tennessee just squashed them in the end, man. They just executed offensively, put up over 90 points again, and, man, they're playing really good team basketball right now.
Well, as you've seen over the last 2 or 3 weeks, Tennessee's struggled more and more to get these victories, especially at Vanderbilt, against Alabama, Florida. So that's what really, I think, what you want from a great team is a mid-season slump. Rick Barnes has gotten the opportunity to do a lot of teaching, have a lot of teaching moments, to point out a lot of shortcomings for the Volunteers while they've kept winning. And you don't usually get that luxury. Usually you've got to point out the bad things you're doing after a loss or two. And Tennessee, as you said, against A&M was a perfect example. That was basically an even game until the last 5 or 6 minutes. And Tennessee just blew them away. And they've done that multiple times this year. Just superior talent. It's almost not, I'm not quite saying they can turn it off and on when they want, but they sort of have over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So you learn from those things. It's really good to play good, close, tight games in the middle of the season and get those wins in hostile conference arenas. That really prepares you for the tournament well. Now Tennessee gets a chance to come home. They have Missouri on Tuesday. They have Florida on Saturday. They have South Carolina next week, and then go to Kentucky next weekend. So it's a stretch where, look, I'm still in the school. I'm not going to panic. I'm not even going to be alarmed if Tennessee drops a game or two. I don't expect them to go 30-1 or whatever for the season. I'm not opposed to losing a game or two before the end of the year to know how it feels and not want that feeling again. I think sometimes you sort of forget what it feels like to lose. I think sometimes great teams, and this may have happened, to Alabama, I don't know, begin to feel invincible and like, they can't lose, like they're going to win. And you always got to respect that opponent. You always got to feel like, we talked about that all year during football season, the fact that Alabama just blowing everybody out. They don't know what it's like to be in a tight, close game, and especially to play from behind. I think Tennessee needs to feel that in basketball in order to be able to know how to deal with it when it comes to the tournament, because I guarantee it, mark it down here, February 4th, Shasteen Show, when it gets to the NCAA tournament, in the first game or maybe the second, Tennessee's going to get punched in the mouth, and they're going to be staggered. And Grant Williams is going to get 3 fouls, or Jordan Bone's going to get 3 something will happen. Somebody will have to sit down, and they'll have to adjust all of a sudden. This is when you learn how to do that. In the middle of the season. Yeah,
I think all those are great points. But I think what Rick Barnes has done with his team and what great championship coaches do is they play to their standard. Execute your play. See what the strength of your players are and maximize that. Your opponents are faceless. Okay, so you don't care who you're playing, what the names on the front of the jerseys, what color the jerseys are. You execute and you play your best game, and then everything works out. Now, what they're going to see, because they're in a different position now, being number one, and what Alabama's had to deal with in football, is you're going to get everybody's best, okay? That Texas A&M team that battled them the other night had only won one conference game there, I think.
And that gym was rocking.
It was rocking. So, and I think those hostile environments and those teams playing hard against them that even are not are mediocre teams, you can't let your guard down because those teams can beat you on any given night. And so I think Rick Barnes, he's savvy, he's smart, he's experienced. I'm not so sure this guy's not the best basketball coach in this season. He's doing as good job as Coach K is. I mean, I put him up against Coach K right now. Wouldn't that be a great final, Duke and Tennessee?
That would be a great final.
I'd like to see that one.
Because it's a contrast in styles now, because Tennessee's this experienced team with all these experienced players, and Duke's got 2 or 3 one-and-dones, and I think it'd be a great contrast.
It would be.
I think Rick
contrast.
Barnes is going to be the National Coach of the Year this year.
Yeah,
I think
so.
That may be a no-brainer. So it's fun. Right. It's fun. So we turn our attention a little bit, Ken. Coming up this weekend is the first annual Tullahoma Sports Council Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame. And, this has been a long time coming.
It's a big deal.
It's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal, and you're right in the center of it. So tell us
what's
what's shaking down Saturday night.
I hope to be.
Yeah.
What they're going to do, what the Sports Council is going to do is they're going to dress up the gymnasium at D.W. Wilson Community Center and hold the first annual Hall of Fame banquet at the gym at D.W. Wilson Community Center. The cost is $25 a plate, $50 for a couple. I don't know if or how many tickets are left, but I'm sure if you called the rec department, they would let you know, Tullahoma Recreation Department, if there are any seats left. It's going to be black tie, semi-formal type of dress. It's going to be really nice dinner, really nice ceremony. So we're going to break a little bit early here and going to come back and talk about the 12 entities that are going to be inducted into the Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame. And you think about people that you might want to be inducted or that you think should maybe be part of this first class. You got to keep in mind that you can't induct everybody at once. This is going to be an annual thing.
It's kind of like the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
It is like the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which happened this weekend. I'm so happy for Kevin Mawai, former center for the Tennessee Titans, inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Ty Law, I don't know if you've ever heard Ty Law on the radio. You're talking about a dude who has got it, who gets it. Ty Law, former Patriots quarterback, also inducted in the Hall of Fame. But Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame Saturday night. We'll come back, go through some of the inductees. I'll give you some of the highlights from each of their careers. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma. Every Monday night we are live at London's It's the Shasteen Show on the Rooster 101.5.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month? What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
Get the gig. Get the world's fastest internet with LightTube. That's 1 gig down, 1 gig up internet speeds for only $89.95 per month. Call LightTube today to upgrade and get the gig. Call us at 455-4515 to learn more. LightTube. Local people, local service.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Live from London, downtown Tullahoma.
You know what I love more than ever about Monday nights at London's on the Shasteen Show, Ken, is
hecklers,
is interaction
with the crowd.
With the crowd. It's the best interaction with the crowd happens during the break.
Participation.
What we need to do is get somebody putting this thing live on Facebook, and we've talked about this sort of thing, and we need to have the breaks live on Facebook so people can hear the interaction. Don't you think?
It gets a little
political, shall we say? It's a little political.
Explosive,
personal, dirty,
animated,
ugly,
animated. I think that's
violent.
the word I'd use for it. Animated.
It gets a little violent during the break. I thought I was going to have to come over the table. It's all in good fun. That's what sports is. Good fun. Welcome back to London.
Well, that's what's good. When your team gets beat, you get bragging rights for a year. I mean, that's the way it works. And, you know, people get so sensitive because their team gets beat and they get ribbed a little bit. But you know what? Don't you kind of earn those rights a little bit when that happens? That's kind of the way it works, right?
You know, Ken, just to put it bluntly, the boss man loves us.
That's
awesome. The boss man loves us.
That's awesome.
And we love the boss man. He needs to stop
Shout
in
out
here.
to the boss man.
Stop in here, have a big steak. You know, it is steak night at London's. They have excellent sirloin strips and filet mignon. It's outstanding. Big baked potato, great salad or side. Excellent bread, very unique bread. You won't get this bread anywhere else in town. It's happy hour right now. Yeah, what better time to come to London's than Monday night between 6 and 7 for the Shasteen Show. All right, the Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame will hold its first inaugural induction ceremony Saturday night. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be the MC of this event. A little bit nervous about that. Ken, you know, I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm going to look out over that crowd, and there's going to be a collection and some representatives, but a collection of the greatest athletes in the history of this city.
Yes.
And that's pretty intimidating, dude.
It is. But
it really is.
Done graduations at Motlow with 4,000 there. You can
but not the greatest athletes in the history.
You're right.
I mean, that's a long history.
Good point.
We're talking about some people who have done some phenomenal things. They've won national championships, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's big time.
State championships, national championships at every level.
At every level. Played at professional sports.
Yeah.
In multiple Hall of Fames all over the country. So here are some of those nominees. We're going to have an honorary nominee. An honorary nominee means it's like the honorary alderman that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, they do an honorary alderman a lot. You haven't been elected an alderman. You don't get to vote.
Right.
But you get to come in and sort of be part of the thing.
Play the role.
Yeah, because you've shown outstanding traits at school or whatever it is you do.
Propensity.
So we're going to have an honorary member of the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's going to be every year, but it's going to be this year, and the honorary member is Ashley Gillum. Ashley Gillum is a senior at Tullahoma High School. She actually graduated in December, so she has graduated. But you've heard of Ashley Gillum. She's gotten a lot of publicity in the Tullahoma News this year. She was the Tennessee Golf Association's Women's Golfer of the Year for 2018. Ashley, all-district, all-state. She was the Region 4 AAA individual champion, the District 8 AAA individual champion. She's a 2-time American Junior Golf Association champion, 3-time Tennessee and School Days champion. Ashley Gillum has been the dominant high school female golfer in the Southeast for about 3 years now, and she is going to be an honorary member.
That's big time.
Of the Tullahoma Sports Hall of
That takes me
Fame.
back to really my days. I remember a girl at the high school named Karen Romberg.
Excellent.
That was a phenomenal women's golfer, ladies golfer at THS. So remember that name for your future.
And I'll tell you that any names you mention tonight, I will
pass along.
Tell you whether they have been brought up or not in conversations, because keep in mind, these names were chosen from dozens and dozens of names that were brought up in multiple meetings of the Hall of Fame committee.
Yeah.
The first inductee to the Tullahoma Sports Council Hall of Fame, Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame, is going to be our friend Steve Matthews. Steve Matthews, of course, was a member of some great Tullahoma teams. He was the starting quarterback on that 1987 team that was considered the greatest Tullahoma team in history. Only Tullahoma team to go to the semifinals in the state tournament. So he was All-State junior, senior year, and signed with Tennessee. Didn't really get much of an opportunity in Knoxville, so he went to Memphis, had 2 great years, set 10 records, drafted by the Chiefs, played 5 years in the NFL, started a game for Jacksonville, led them to a victory, was the NFL Player of the Week. I remember that.
Wow.
Signed with the Titans. He was an assistant football coach at Tullahoma. He was the head coach at Moore County for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And all he's done as a coach is go to Knoxville Catholic, win 2 state championships with the Fighting Irish.
Oh, Steve, great athlete. I watched him play in high school, multiple sports. The guy could play was a really good basketball player and baseball player too. Big lefty, strong arm quarterback, great leader. I think he'd like another shot at Jefferson County. The 1987 team was something special.
Well, he's certainly gotten some payback by winning a couple of gold balls in Cookeville with the Fighting Irish of Knoxville Catholic. He's turned that program into one of the top teams in the state.
Yeah, definitely a worthy winner.
Another nominee for the Sports Hall of Fame. You got to go old school to know who Larry Nee Jr. is. Larry Nee will be inducted as a track and field athlete. He won the state championship in the mile run in 1970 with a time of 4 minutes 15.8 seconds. That beat the previous record by 2.8 seconds, and Larry held the state record in the mile run for over 20 years. That is just phenomenal. Now, to hold any kind of record for 20 years, you're going through a couple of generations of people. Everybody's getting bigger, stronger, and faster all the time.
Yeah.
Larry's record stood for 20 years. The mile relay team he was on went to the state meet undefeated. They ended up placing 4th. Larry signed a scholarship with Memphis State at the time, went on to Jacksonville State, had a tremendous track career. And this is the neatest one, I think. In 1977, Larry set the skateboarding world record at the Talladega Speedway with a time of 10.66. I have no idea what that 10.66 means, but he set the skateboarding world record at Talladega. That is awesome.
That's an amazing fact.
That is awesome. Larry Nee was also, at one time, the mayor of Normandy, Tennessee.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, 4-minute, 15-second mile. That's huge. I mean, that 4-minute mark, was it Alan Bannister, the first guy to do that?
I believe it was 1956 when that was broken.
That's moving, man. That's moving.
In 1970, trust me, track and field was a much bigger thing than it is now. Wide world of sports. I mean, you knew who all the milers were, all the sprinters, all the 400 guys. You knew who they were because you saw those highlights and stuff a lot. Now, everybody knows who Bolt and some of those guys are, but a lot of track and field gets buried in the mass media of sports that we have now.
Well, Larry Nee's not buried.
No.
He's been revealed.
He's a Hall of Famer is what he is.
He's a Hall of Famer.
All right, I'll speed this up a little bit. Wallace Wade was a coach at Fitzgerald Clark Military Academy and Prep School in Tullahoma. That was right before it became Tullahoma High School. It was basically the high school. And in 2 seasons, he coached the team to a 16-3 record and won. You say, has Tullahoma ever won the state championship in football? Yes. Wallace Wade won it in 1920 with Fitzgerald Clark Military Academy and Prep School, won the state football championship. Now, you've probably heard of Wallace Wade, Ken. You should have if you hadn't, because he went to the University of Alabama and led them to 4 Southern Conference championships, 3 national championships, 3 Rose Bowl championships, and a record of 61-13-3. In 1925, his Alabama team was 9-0, outscored the opposition 277-7. There's a lot more about Wallace Wade that I could read. One of the things you need to know is Duke's football stadium was renamed Wallace Wade Stadium in 1967, and a bronze statue of Wallace Wade stands in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, at the University of Alabama.
Amazing.
Wallace Wade from Tullahoma to Tuscaloosa. Hall of Famer. That's awesome, isn't it?
Mark Howard needs to listen in tonight so we can find some
figure out who's actually from Tullahoma.
That's right. Yeah, we need to send him this list.
That's amazing. Cameron Howard. Man, Cameron Howard. Track and field, football, basketball. He won 5 individual state championships in track and field. I was fortunate enough to be the sports editor of the Tullahoma News during Cameron's sophomore year, and he was phenomenal. I could go on and on about Cameron. He was an All-American at the University of Tennessee in track and field. He was the top scorer at the SEC championship. He was a member of a national championship team at Tennessee. He set multiple Tennessee track records. If Cameron Howard had not got injured in Puerto Rico in the long jump, I believe he would have qualified for the Olympics. He was fantastic and
that's an elite,
unbelievable football player.
Elite athlete.
He got a scholarship to the University of Tennessee in track, but he got offered one to Tennessee State in football. Ended up, after he got hurt, going to Tennessee State and doing some track stuff there. So phenomenal career. A little bit quicker here because we've talked a lot about some of these people.
Yep.
Antonio London is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a football player and as a track and field athlete. #1 recruit in the state. Went to Alabama, won a national championship at Alabama, played for the Detroit Lions. You've heard a lot about Antonio. He's fantastic.
We had Antonio on the show just a few
weeks ago.
Yeah,
he was a tremendous guest.
Yes, he was.
Just outstanding. Frank Mullins. We've talked a lot about Frank Mullins. He's sort of the foundation of Tullahoma football. It was back in 1955 that Frank played on that undefeated Tullahoma football team. He went on to play for an undefeated team at Sewanee for legendary coach Shirley Majors. That team inducted into the Sewanee Hall of Fame. And then, of course, Frank went on to start the Pop Warner League. It's now known as the Frank Mullins League. He's a legend. I'm going to read you. I just think this is one of the neatest things you're going to hear Saturday night. Every team Frank Mullins coached heard his first practice speech. Quote, "I'm not supposed to tell you that winning is the most important thing in sports, so I won't. What I will tell you is that when you win, it's a heck of a lot more fun. When I play a game, I do everything within the rules to win. Regardless of what game we're playing, football, baseball, marbles, or tiddlywinks, it doesn't matter. I'm going to try to win." I think that's awesome.
I think that's the right way to live.
That's the way to approach it. If you're not playing to win, yes, have fun, but play to win.
And, the key thing there was within the rule. Within the rules, be the ultimate competitor in whatever you do.
Matt Sweeten, the greatest wrestler in Tullahoma history, will become the first wrestler to be inducted into the Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame. 3-time state champion, set the all-time record, still hadn't been broken. He won 103 pounds, 145 pounds, and 160 pounds. Nobody's ever done that before. And again, he still holds that record. Tremendous wrestler. Bill Pack Sr. will become the first official to be inducted into the Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame. He is in the Tennessee TSSAA Hall of Fame, the National High School Federation Hall of Fame, the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Bill Pack and the whole Pack family. They're the only family known anywhere in the world to fill out every spot in a football game. They did it twice.
That's amazing.
Packs, the only officials on the field.
They should have sent the Packs to the Saints game against the Rams.
I think they could have got it done better.
I think so.
Dr. Jamil Northcutt, we've talked a lot about Jamil on this show. He was a first-team All-American. He had over 325 tackles his junior and senior year combined, 18 sacks.
Yeah.
Jamil went on to Ole Miss, where he wore the Chucky Mullins jersey. He received his doctorate there. He was on the Southeastern Conference Academic Honor Roll all 4 years. Has been an employee of the SEC, Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL, the University of Mississippi, the Cleveland Browns, and now is the vice president with Major League Soccer. Jamil,
number
outstanding.
38 Chucky Mullins jersey.
Dr. Northcutt. Ann Shelton will become the first female and the first soccer player to be inducted into the Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Ann Shelton was the greatest soccer player in Tullahoma history. She was not once but twice named the Gatorade Tennessee Soccer Player of the Year.
Wow.
Junior and senior year. She set records that still stand in the state of Tennessee. She set records that still stand in the SEC. Ann Shelton made the Dean's List, the SEC Honor Roll, and the SEC All-Academic Team 4 years at Ole Miss. And she was selected to the Title IX 40 for 40 All-SEC team in 2012. Ann Shelton, certainly is one of the greatest athletes in the history of Tullahoma.
Impressive credentials.
And then we're going to close out the night, Saturday night, by inducting the 1974 Tullahoma High School baseball team, AAA state champions, coached by Jerry Mathis and Ted Frisbee. I'm going to read you some names, going to take you way back. Jerry J.R. Farah, Stan Young, David Davis, Jimmy Haynes, Greg Searcy, Ronnie James, Jeff Pruitt, Joey Tuck, Bill Brantner, Greg Hempkin, Jimmy Parrish, my cousin Rick Pless, Dale Mosley, Mike Stamps, Tim Finch, Smitty Smith, Bob Rydell, Mike Howell, and John Jarrett, members of the 1974 state champion Tullahoma Wildcat baseball team.
I played softball against about half of those
There you
guys
go.
with some of them guys, yeah.
All those
Good ball
people
players.
or their representatives will be at D.W. Wilson Community Center Saturday night and be inducted into the Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Our final segment, it's recruiting time on the Shasteen Show, driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and live from London's. We'll be back on the Rooster 101.5.
Trucks, trucks, and more trucks. Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have your next truck. From the Ford F-Series, the Ram, Chevrolet, or the GMC, then look no further than the Russell Barnett family. With over 350 new and pre-owned trucks to choose from, now is the time to buy. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, Ford of Winchester, and Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, or visit us on the web at russellbarnett.com. Why buy anywhere else?
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Well, the rain has not started yet, so come on down to London's and have yourself a delicious medium rare steak and a cold beer, or one of the best one of those burgers that's the best in Tullahoma. I think it's about time to vote Tullahoma's finest again, so I'm picking London's for the steak, partner.
I think
I ain't
so.
gonna lie to you. I hadn't
No
had a
doubt
better
about
steak in this town since the Legion closed.
I'm with you, partner.
They're really good. All right, let's talk a little football, Ken.
Let's talk some football.
You know what's the only sad thing about today?
What's that?
Football's over, man.
I know.
It is over till mid-August.
Yeah.
When we get in the press box, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the schedule, from what I've heard, is going to stay basically the same. So I think we'll be at Wilkins Stadium hosting the Shelbyville Golden Eagles to open the season.
I think we go there this time.
We're going to go to Bedford County.
Going to Bedford County.
That monkey's still running around over there. That's right. It's been a couple of years since he got cut loose.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we mentioned earlier talking about Super Bowl teams. We talked about the dominance of some great dynasties, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Packers, the 49ers. But there's 12 teams, Scott, that have not ever won a Super Bowl. Now, 2 of those are obvious, the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings. Both those have lost, guess what, 4 apiece. 4 apiece, the poor Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings. They're just jinxed. But there's 10 other teams that some of these teams have not ever even been to a Super Bowl. So I'm gonna throw this list at you, and I'm gonna ask both of y'all this question. I'm gonna go with you first.
I already know who smashed it.
Yeah, I bet I know who he's gonna pick too. He might surprise us.
Go ahead.
12 teams here that's never won a Super Bowl. So I gave you 2 of them, Minnesota and of course the Buffalo Bills. Here are the rest of the teams: the Tennessee Titans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Detroit Lions, Cleveland Browns, Carolina Panthers, Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they had a near miss against the 49ers one time when Joe Montana brought them back. Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Chargers. Maybe that's why everybody was pulling for Phillip Rivers so much this last time, right? The Atlanta Falcons. Boy, that near miss against the Patriots a couple years back. Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans. There's your 12 teams right there.
Smash, who you got? No.
Yeah, no.
Which of those teams will win a Super Bowl first?
Out of the 12 NFL, those 12 teams that haven't won a Super Bowl.
The Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
Well, that came out of nowhere. They were terrible.
Yeah, they were. Now, we didn't say the worst team smashed. We said the next Super Bowl. Okay. Smash takes the Cardinals. All right,
well,
Scott, what say you?
It would be easy, I think, to pick some teams that I think are really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't put it together yet. I think the Texans are really good. Let me look at the back of that list.
Here it is.
Just a minute more. Yeah, the back of that list has some good teams. The Vikings are good. The Falcons are a really good team. The Chargers. Chargers got really close this year to going to the Super Bowl.
They did.
I'm going to go way out on a limb just for giggles because they showed more improvement this year than any team in professional football. That's the Cleveland Browns.
Oh.
The Cleveland Browns went from winless to what, 6 wins? So I'll say the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I like that one too. I mean, you talk about, how they've done well in the drafts. Nick Chubb, really, he wasn't even starting the first few games of the season. All the talk this year is about the rookie running backs, really Sony Michel. But Nick Chubb had a great year for the Cleveland Browns, and they got Baker Mayfield. So
Georgia running backs, man.
Yeah, they're doing well.
If I'm a great running back in high school anywhere in this country, I'm going to Georgia.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to pick the Cleveland Browns as my next one. I'm going to take the Texans, the first team you kind of mentioned, just because of Deshaun Watson. I think in the NFL you've got to have that stud quarterback. I was very disappointed that they got wiped out by the Colts the way they did and didn't have a better performance in the playoffs this year. But I think they're the team that's the most ready. Just San Diego, that quarterback can't beat Brady, and Brady's going to play 2 more years. So I'm going to throw San Diego out of it, and I'm going to say the Houston Texans, and you got the Browns, and poor Smash, you got the Arizona Cardinals. Good luck with that one.
And we're all putting $100 on the table. Winner
there you
take
go.
all.
Yeah, but I'm ready for some new blood to win, man, besides all these other teams. What about you?
All right. Let's take it one step further.
Mm-hmm.
Smash, who wins the Super Bowl next year?
Ooh.
The Chargers.
Oh, well, then that's got to be your pick because the Chargers were on the list.
He ain't right. Who wins the Super Bowl?
I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs would have to be my pick.
I'm going to say the New England Patriots. Who's got the safest bet here? Huh? You guys are nuts.
Oh, man, he's going for 7.
You guys are nuts.
Look at him, yeah.
They bet against the Patriots.
Yeah.
I'm picking Alabama to win the national championship in college football, the Patriots to win the national championship in professional football. I'll take the Golden State Warriors to win the NBA title, and
the Lakers?
Tennessee Vols to win the Final Four.
Why not?
Hey.
Now, that's funny you said that because Alabama's going to be due, so look at this right here.
Are they going to recruit anybody?
The Patriots won 2014 Super Bowl. Alabama 2015 championship. Patriots 2016 Super Bowl. Alabama 2017. Patriots 18. Bama's due in 19. So there you go. You got your bases covered there.
Tide time.
We'll see what happens. All right. Signing day is Wednesday. Of course, they have 2 signing periods. That takes some of the excitement off. That's a day I used to like to take off was the Wednesday, the February, first Wednesday in February. And, man, to see those letter of intents come across those fax machines and they pull them off and you have the signing shows various throughout the day. But I think 82% of the 4 and 5 stars signed the first class in the 3rd week of December before Christmas. But the SEC team's doing great. Tennessee and 7 teams in the SEC in the top 15, including the Tennessee Vols. Tennessee's waiting on 2 5 stars. I think Darnell Wright is pretty much a lock. He's the big offensive tackle out of West Virginia. West Virginia coaches sent 10 coaches, their entire staff, to his house. I think it's too little too late, Scott. I think Darnell Wright's going to be a Tennessee Vol on Wednesday.
We need
Yeah.
5-star offensive lineman.
Yeah, and the other big one that Tennessee's after, they're battling Alabama and the Washington Huskies for Henry Toto, an inside linebacker, 5-star out of Concord, De La Salle in California. That is where Kevin Simon played. So Kevin Simon has been instrumental in his recruitment. We'll see how that one shakes out right there. So, of course, you've got the top 3 teams right now is in the SEC Southeastern Conference. Alabama's number 1, Georgia's number 2, and Jimbo Fisher has been all over the place. Texas A&M Aggies right now number 3 in the nation. They are really recruiting the state of Texas well. Texas Longhorns, don't sleep on them. They're number 5. Oklahoma Sooners number 4. So that's your top 5 teams. Tennessee sitting at 15 right now. Florida Gators lurking at number 11. Dan Mullen riding that big win over the Michigan Wolverines. They're number 11. Auburn Tigers number 14 right now. So all those teams, as well as LSU. LSU's in the top 10. I think they're number 7 right now. So SEC teams having success. Tennessee 3rd in the East right now, behind Georgia and Florida. Depending on how things fall, they can maybe gain on the Florida Gators a little bit if they can land the linebacker out of California. But they've added 2 undergrad transfers that's going to help them out. Maybe not this year. They're going to appeal. They're supposed to sit out a year. Aubrey Solomon, a big defensive tackle, transferred in from the Michigan Wolverines, and D'Angelo Gibbs from the Georgia Bulldogs. So 2 big gets from the Tennessee Vols. Chaney, the offensive coordinator from the Georgia Bulldogs, and D'Angelo Gibbs. He's going to play wide receiver at Tennessee.
Hope he comes.
Yeah.
We need him. We need all the help we can get. That's going to do it for this edition of the Shasteen Show. For Thunder, back at the studio and Smash behind the camera, Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.